Hey, it's Chris. I hope you're doing great. I recently interviewed Darren Fung, who's a composer extraordinaire, and it's for a little mini module that I'm putting into the course, The Art of the Song Pitch, for composers. So I pulled a short clip from the interview just to present to you guys about Backend royalties, which I thought was really cool and was a bit of a jaw dropper for me. So apparently in the composing world, you can make a lot of money on Backend royalties. So Darren talks about some of his friends, what they're making. Some of them are just working on like kids shows on TV, and it was a kind of a shocker how much they make on Backend royalties. So I hope you enjoy this, and let's hear it straight from Darren. So Darren, thanks so much for coming out. This is super awesome. Really appreciate you taking the time. And one of the reasons that I asked you to do this sort of on the composer side of things was your credits are incredible. I mean, you've got like Screen Awards from 2013 and 2016, Best Original Score at the Los Angeles Reel Film Festival, the Atlantic Film Festival, Best Original Score. You've got a huge list of feature films such as Angelique's Isle, Union Leader, Listen, Bang Bang Baby, Awaken, and the list goes on. An even bigger list of television productions for networks such as National Geographic, CBC, PBS, TSN, and then a whole bunch of documentaries. So before I ask you, how do you do it? I want to start way back at the beginning.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about how did you get into music? Like before you started composing, what drew you to music? Did you grow up in a musical household, or how did that whole thing come together?
Well, I think like all good Chinese boys, I started playing piano when I was 3. When I was 15, the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra had this project called the Young Composers Project, and what that did was that gave me the opportunity to write a piece of music for the orchestra. That gave me the bug. I loved that sort of orchestral music stuff, and really the place as a composer to do that is in the film and television. So I've always really loved film and television soundtracks. I just kind of did that. I went to school for composing, realized that the kind of academic art music route wasn't my thing. And I just started scoring films, little short student films. I apprenticed under some bigger name composers, and just kept on doing it. Smaller projects led to bigger projects, and that's where I am now.
Would you recommend that approach for other composers who are trying to come up, like doing free stuff? And
yeah, no one's going to give you a gig unless you actually have some credits doing it. There's a push towards, I think right now, a lot of bands and stuff doing TV shows or gigs like that, but oftentimes they don't really know what the schedule is really punishing, right? Like television, you're pushing out 20-30 minutes of music a week.
Wow.
In feature film it's not as demanding, but you're still pushing out a lot of music, in 4 or 5 weeks time. So, it's about, developing the credits, developing the relationships. You can develop the credits either by doing, short things for no money, or by apprenticing under another big composer, working as an assistant and getting credits that way.
Got it. That's great advice. And so how business savvy do you think you have to be in this? Or do you know a lot about the business? Or are you strictly music? Or?
Yeah, no. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think you need to be very business savvy. I'd say it's 80% business, 20% music. You have to understand, when you're signing a contract, what that means. You have to understand that one of the big things that I didn't really get when I first started was how much of my revenue stream was going to come from my back end, from my royalties,
right?
From the PRO stuff. So once you start having a body of work that's developing income, that's a significant amount of your income.
Right.
It could be up to 30, 40, 80, 90% of your income. Depending on how much, I know people who have done kids TV shows that are making over 6 digits just in back end income, and that's gravy for them, right?
Just in back end
income. Just in back end.
Wow. So as a composer, do you obviously get paid a fee upfront, similar to when a songwriter gets licensed? You also get a fee for a project, but then you're saying that the majority of your income comes from the royalties, generally.
I think that, I wouldn't say right now the majority of my income comes from royalties, but I'd say a large proportion of it, probably about half of it comes from the back end. And as sort of, depending on what my career trajectory is, that'll change, that'll increase as it goes along.
Got it. Okay.
So, and it's just being cognizant of what it means when you're giving up your publishing or how much, your royalty share. For a lot of production libraries, for example, they want to buy everything out from you. They don't want to pay you any royalties up front, not royalties up front. They don't want to pay you any royalties sort of in the back end. They want to buy you out, and you realize, that's a huge part of your money, So,
Right.
So you need to be careful about that.
Got it.